I remember having my first ever like deja vu and like genuinely thinking I had like powers or something. And when I was younger, it was quite vivid. And I remember saying to her, we need to hide here because something's going on. And then I said, Miss Claire is going to walk past, and if she doesn't, then it's fine. And she did. I always felt just a very strong presence. I also used to hear as if like someone was trying to whisper to me as I was falling deeper into a sleep. I remember this gut-wrenching feeling of something telling me you need to go back, you need to go and get him, you need to go and check on him, whatever. And she kept saying like, it's fine, like they'll catch up. And this teacher is running up calling my name, trying to get my attention. I'm like, no, I need to go and get my brother and his friend, they're late for their reading. He's like, no, Louise, wait. And as I get to the door, there was a little glass window in the door, and I peeped through to see where they're sitting, and I just saw 2 empty chairs out of the classroom. And I thought, okay, that's weird, like why are they not in their classroom? Where are they? So I turned around and the teacher says, I'm really sorry, your brother's been hit by a car. I just remember being like, sorry, like that can't, like what are you talking about? Like I was with him this morning, that doesn't make any sense. Like what? I knew exactly where she was talking about because it was at the exact point that I turned around. And I remember thinking like, what is actually happening? Because I should have gone back. Like I knew something was wrong.
So I just want to do a little intro to this person because this person means a lot to me. So this is the beautiful Lou, who is my brother's fiance, my sister-in-law to be, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our family. And I just wanted to say a little thank you for coming on because this is my first podcast and I am so excited to get stuck into this series of conversations that need to be shared with the world, I feel. And so if anyone that's listening, just a quick intro about me and why I started this channel and this podcast. So my name is Melissa, and I had a huge spiritual awakening in 2024. And it's a huge fascination for me. So on my spiritual journey, I loved to learn about other people's spiritual awakenings. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand all these things that were happening to me. But along the way, I had this huge fascination for the universe, consciousness, neuroscience. And I wanted to start a channel talking about this and how this led me and others to their purpose, and how this can then help others find their purpose. So I found myself talking about this most of every waking moment with my friends and my family. And then my fascination has just led me to want to find out more and share more of my stories and other people's stories. Because I found that talking to other people, that's when the learning really happened, and the dropping into the body of like, oh, really? That's what that was. That's what happened for me. So, yeah, if that sounds exciting for you, then stick around because we've got a really exciting guest on this week's podcast. So I'm going to welcome my lovely sister-in-law to be, Lou. Please, can you tell us about yourself, what you do, and yeah, go from there.
Oh, thank you for the little intro. Hello. Thanks for having me. I really am excited to be your first talker on the podcast as well. I feel very honoured. I am currently working with a small business who solely their purpose is with like baked goods, and I work on the operations and marketing side of things. So all of the sort of like back of house, prepping everyone's orders and making sure they arrive on time, hopefully. And yeah, I also do have a little YouTube channel as well where I mainly film vlogs, so bits about my life, anything that's happening, traveling vlogs as well, which is what I really enjoy doing. And yeah, it's really it, really. What's going on in my life at the moment.
I love that. And there are people out there who are going to listen to this who would love to know a little bit about your story, about like how you then like got up to that, and how that leads to like, because I know you're really into your star sign. And you're a Sagittarius, right?
Yes.
A Sagittarius is known for like being like quite adventurous and trying new things and all of that. So how would you say that kind of like has been the story in your life? And how did you lead to like YouTube and things like that?
Yeah, I feel like with being relating to it to Sagittarius and being adventurous, I'm always looking to do something that is quite challenging. If that's in my work life or if that's in my hobbies or anything like that, I'm always looking to just keep the brain ticking. And I think as well, I started my YouTube channel more as like a singing platform. And I've realized I wanted to do something a bit different, something a bit more with it. Really showcase myself as well, because people were just obviously seeing my singing videos and not getting to know me as a person. And then I think over time, I grew this hobby of documenting my life through, rather than writing it down, you were just watching a video of it. And I could then look back on that and seeing my little brother grow up and being able to show him one day. And then obviously having so many adventures and being able to capture that and again, look back on it is just something that I just thoroughly enjoy doing. So I think that's probably why I started with YouTube. And yeah, definitely I would say that being adventurous has been something that has been quite connected with my work life, because I do like to keep going, like I was saying, and try different things, try things that maybe scare me a bit, challenge me a bit, which is in itself an adventure as well. So yeah.
I love that. And I love how it's also like evolved over time. So like you're always changing and the channel has kind of like grown with you. And yeah, I'm really excited to see like where else it will go as well. I've always been inspired by your just fear of just like, there's no fear. You just put it out there. And I have this huge fear of being seen. Even though I've been in the West End and I've been in like on the big stages, and there's this fear inside of me just thinking about what other people think about me on this channel. Or why is she talking about spirituality? I thought she was an actress. Like, what do you mean she's into spirits and she meditates?
Yeah.
And what? I've never heard about this. Like that fear of judgment, and me judging myself about that as well, and having to accept that. I don't know if you ever had that. Did you ever have that when you were doing your channel, or?
I don't know. I mean, touching on like what you've just said with like theatre, I think you've probably might not have like felt it so much because you're playing a character, that it's not you. It's not, you're being vulnerable a bit in a completely different way. You're being vulnerable for the character you're playing, not for Melissa, not for you as an individual. You're not doing a show that is you. It's, they're there to see you play Jennifer. They're not seeing you play yourself. So I think it's a bit tricky, but I definitely probably felt like, I was nervous to post my first video. I still even now have like imposter syndrome quite a bit as well. And yeah, there's so many videos or sections of videos especially that I do not post. I will cut it out because I'm always like, oh, people just won't understand what I meant by that, or maybe they would just think that that's a bit too crazy, or is that weird, So I still do that, but obviously, I think in terms of everyday content and obviously still posting and not being like, oh, what are they going to think about this? I think I've posted so many videos now that it is what it is. If it doesn't do well, it doesn't do well. But if people see it and they enjoy it, that's my main goal. I just do it because I have a passion to do it and I can look back on it in the future. And it's more for me as well. Like it's more what I want to do. I don't really think the focus is I'm doing this for other people. There are some videos that obviously I hope can benefit people. Those ones are a little bit more tricky where I'm a bit like, oh, how are people going to interpret this? Because I don't want it to come across in a certain way. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings but when it's just me, I mean, I'm just doing that for me.
Good, as it should be. And I don't think we should be thinking about if we're going to hurt other people's feelings, because at the end of the day, our opinion of what it is, obviously we don't want to like harmfully like say something, you know, that's offensive. But if we're constantly thinking about what other people think, we're not truly being authentic to ourselves and what we think.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people aren't able to receive, I think. And that's what that's the emotion I'm moving through is knowing that my opinion and my perspectives are just as valid as anybody else's. So that's what I'm moving through at the moment, and that's landing in my body. So as I start this podcast. So enough about me. I want to ask you if there were any spiritual experiences that you had maybe as a child, because for me, I don't remember many. There were a couple, but I think, you know, we had chats in the past, like where you've had like some when you were quite young. So if you wouldn't mind like speaking about that.
I think I just always felt like there was a presence. I don't know if this is relatable or not, but I remember having my first ever like deja vu and like genuinely thinking I had like powers or something. Because
we do.
Because I thought, how have I just seen something that hasn't happened yet? Like, I still also can't fathom how deja vu actually works, because for me to feel like I've lived in that moment of time, but yet it hasn't happened yet. Like, it hadn't have happened before. So how do I know that this was going to happen? Like, what is this feeling that I knew was going to happen? And when I was younger, it was quite vivid. Like, I used to be able to tell my friend, it doesn't happen that much now, and I don't really know how it happened when I was younger, but I used to be able to say to my friend, I'm having deja vu, and obviously we'd be really young and she didn't really understand what I was talking about. And I don't know if maybe it's because I watched That's So Raven that I knew what deja vu was, but you know.
So how old were you at this point?
I must have been in year 5 or year 4.
So about 7, 8,
so what's
9?
That? Yeah, 7, 8 or 9. And I remember saying to her, like, we need to go, we need to hide here because something's going on. And then I said, so-and-so teacher, whatever her name was, we'll call her in this case Miss Claire. Miss Claire is going to walk past, and if she doesn't, then it's fine. And she did. And obviously we're in a primary school, there's teachers everywhere. Like, how did we know that she was going to walk past?
Yeah.
And she looked at me and thought, how did you know it was going to happen? I was like, I don't know, but I'm telling you, I'm experiencing something that is, and I think obviously it wasn't spoken about, or, you know, no one really understood it. That I think I just got used to it. I think over time I was just like, oh, I'm having deja vu, and then just carried on with my day. I don't know if it was you that actually told me this, or if I heard it somewhere, but if you're having deja vu, it means that your life is on the right path.
So yeah, there are different explanations for it that I've been researching about it. Some people say that when you have deja vu, you're on the right path and you are in alignment with what is predestined for your journey and your path on this earth. Other people feel deja vu is just like confirmation that kind of the same thing, that you're in alignment. Yeah, I think that's maybe where I was coming from with that.
Yeah.
So you had this in year 4, 5. Were there any other times that you remember like vividly like that? And what happened? Like, what did you feel in your body?
I mean, I definitely remember feeling confused. Yeah, like maybe just confused. Obviously, I was young, so I also probably did feel like, again, like I did have superpowers, so probably was like, oh, this is exciting. like, this is cool, this is something new, but I also was very confused by it because I didn't know how to like explain it. And I think obviously I must have explained it for someone to say it's deja vu you're experiencing. That's what it is. And then more having this, like, as I said, feeling a presence, that more happened when I was about, I want to say I was probably about like 13, 14. No, it must have been 14 or 15. When I really sort of, it was getting stronger. And it mainly happened at night. And I would always just feel a presence in the room. But I think because I didn't know what that presence was, I never invited it in. So I would always say, you know, if I outspokenly said it, or if I said it in my head, like, not tonight, like, I'm just not ready tonight, or things like that. I always felt just a very strong presence. I also used to hear as if like someone was trying to whisper to me as I was falling deeper into a sleep. I used to be able to hear people say my name, or words, like just little parts of words. That doesn't really happen. That is very rare that it would happen now. But it used to happen quite a lot when I was younger. So,
And
yeah.
these beings, or I don't know what else you would describe them, the presence, I guess, that's there. Was it like a welcoming, or was it like a dark?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a bit of both. That's probably why I was a bit unaware. I don't know if there was loads of people in the room at once. So I don't know if it was a singular presence, or if it was multiple things that were merging, or if it was just a very strong thought. If it was just a case of, you know, there's a presence in the room, but we don't know what it is, but it's maybe something good is going to happen, or is it something bad's going to happen? So it's kind of trying to prepare me for it. Like I never really knew how to explain it. I just knew it was around me. And then I do remember having two experiences. I don't know if I can touch on them if we've got time. But two experiences now that I've just remembered, and they're both with my brother. And the first one was, we were walking to school, and it was a very, very, very foggy day, extremely foggy day. Me and my other friend, we were walking in front. We were quite fast because he's 3 years younger than me, so he takes his time. We're walking to school, and I've felt an urge to stop walking, and I've turned around, and she's even gone like, oh, because we were in a conversation. She's like, what? Why are you stopping? And I remember turning around, and I couldn't see anything. Like, it was so foggy, I couldn't see anything. And I kind of waited, like, to see, oh, he's gonna catch up. He was with his friends, but I thought, oh, they're gonna catch up. Like, we've got to go to school. Come on, we can't be late. And they weren't there. And I thought, oh, and she said, oh, maybe they've gone to the shops. Like, you know, they're taking the time. And I remember this like gut wrenching feeling of something telling me, you need to go back. You need to go and get him. You need to go and check on him, whatever. And she kept saying, like, it's fine, like, they'll catch up. So we've walked to school. I've carried this entire walk. It was about a 20-minute walk. We continued, didn't go back, didn't look back, whatever. Got to school, got into my registration, did all that. And then I had a reading class that I used to do for the younger years. So I've gone to the reading class, and the people I was actually teaching was my brother and his friend. So I'm waiting for them to turn up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, are they late again? Like, really? How comes they're late? So I say to the teacher, you know what? I'm going to go and get them. I'm going to go and get them from their class. They shouldn't be late. So I'm trying to go and get them from their class. And this teacher is running up to me saying, you know, calling my name, trying to get my attention. I'm like, no, I need to go and get, you know, my brother and his friend. They're late for their reading. He's like, no, like, Louise, wait. And as I get to the door, there was a little glass window in the door, and I peeped through to see where they're sitting, and I just saw two empty chairs out of the classroom. And I thought, okay, that's so weird. Like, why are they not in their classroom? Where are they? So I turned around, and the teacher says, I'm really sorry, but your brother's been hit by a car this morning. And I just remember being like, sorry, like that can't, like, what are you talking about? Like, I was with him this morning, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what? I remember going into hysterics. Like, I think I just went shocked because I ran to get my stuff, ran back out, called my mum and stuff, and she was like, yeah, it happened at a zebra crossing, and it happened, I knew exactly where she was talking about because it was at the exact point that I turned around because I knew that area. And she said, yeah, he got hit by a car and so did his friend. But your brother pulled his friend out of the way. So he's hit his leg and he's broken his leg. But your brother's fine. It's just the impact didn't harm them both. It was more he fell to the ground and things like that. And I remember thinking, like, what is actually happening? Because I should have gone back. Like, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. And that made me feel like I had not a sixth sense. I don't know if that's the right word, but
you had intuition.
Yeah, like I knew
your intuition
something.
was telling you, was like alerting you, like do something.
Yeah, you need to check. Like, you're good at following the reason you've turned around. Like, that's good. Keep going. And I think obviously if it wasn't for my friend, I probably would have just started to walk back. But the fact that she was like, oh, it's fine. Like, let's just go. Like, they're probably taking that, like, their time. So that was really, really weird. And then it happened 5-ish years ago. Must have been 5 years. I can't believe that's 5 years. That's crazy. 5 years ago, I was in a house and I was just relaxing and I felt this really sick feeling to my stomach. And it was really, really strong. And I just sat up and thought, and the first thing that came to my head was my brother. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. Like, that's really weird. So I called my mum and I was like, are you okay? Like, how are things? And I was like, oh, like, is he okay? I just wanted to like check, like, because I wasn't at the house. And I was like, oh, like, yeah. And she was like, oh, yeah, like, he's fine. Like, he's doing this, doing that. I was like, okay. Put the phone call down, like, with whatever, gone about my day. And it must have been about 4 hours later, or maybe 2 hours later. And someone came into the room and was like, have you heard? Has your mum called you? And I was like, called him about what? What do you mean? She was like, your brother's collapsed. And again, I was like, what is going, like, why? Again, that's just happened again. Like, I knew, and I don't know if it's just because me and my brother were really, really close growing up. But now every time that if I get a feeling or something, I'm always constantly checking up on him. Like, I'm always saying, are you good? Like, please be careful with this, or, when you're driving, like, make sure this, or make sure you've had water today. Like, I think it's just because, I don't know, but that scares me because it's a case of, am I able to, if I tap into that deeper, am I able to know things before they happen? Or is it like, what is that? Like, why do I feel that I can feel these things or know these things before they happen? It's very odd, very, very weird.
I think you know the answer to that question.
You can enlighten me.
That was, wow. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that, because that's so, I've never heard those stories before. So I'm just like, I'm not shocked, because I believe in all these things. That I believe in intuition. And even as you were speaking, actually, I was thinking about your human design, and how you said, I had this feeling. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know, because I double checked your chart before we came on, that your strongest, like, the way that you make decisions and the way that your emotional authority is through emotions. So you have a feeling in your body and an emotional wave. So when you listen to that emotional wave, it's telling you something. And then when you come to like clear again, that's when you have the clarity of like, something's wrong. So you have this so what I was hearing from you is that you were having this feeling of, you said, I felt sick in my stomach. So the feeling of being sick kind of emulated his collapse. It was like almost like mirroring him. Which which I just find fascinating. And this is not like dissimilar to some other stories that I've heard. So it's just so exciting for me, like, to hear, like, wow, she has this really tapped in intuition, and, like, imagine if she listened to it, like, more, like, how much had happened. She'd have premonitions of the future and all of this. It'd be, win a lottery ticket. But I think a lot of people will actually really resonate with that. Like, they'll have moments when I think, oh, that happened to me. I had that feeling too. And then Mum often says this to me. She says, like, I really didn't like it when you went that day. Like, I really had I had a funny feeling in my stomach. She's also an emotional authority for her human design, and she's also a manifestor like you. Which is so interesting that you both have these same experiences, and the stories are different, but they're the same. They're the same structure of, like, you had a feeling, something happened, and you knew something was wrong. Do you have any other stories where you, like, feel in your body that something was happening? Because our body knows before our mind does. Can you think of any times where maybe your body knew something, but your mind hadn't caught up yet, or your mind was trying to justify it?
I remember, I mean, I don't really know what to call it. I don't know if it's hallucination or whatever, but I remember when I think I was about 9 or 10, and I think I woke up suddenly in bed, and I remember the bed feeling like it was shaking. Like, I remember feeling like it was an earthquake or something, and obviously we're in London, we don't get earthquakes. So it was a very bizarre feeling, and I remember I sat up, and all of a sudden I could see like a stampede going past my bedroom. Loads and loads of animals running, like, and I honestly I didn't really know what I was seeing. I didn't know if I was still dreaming. I didn't know what was going on. And I remember just shouting for my mum, just shouting, being really freaked out by it. And she just walks through the stampede. She just walks through. She's like, "What's wrong? You know, you okay?" And it's like they're now kind of like blurry. So I think as she's walked through, you know, have you seen it in a film where, like, you know, they walk through a ghost or something, and then the ghost starts to disappear almost like into a mist. So that's what it was like looking like. And I think I was still probably saying to her, like, there's something in my room, like, but obviously I think, you know, at the age of 9 or 10, everyone has nightmares, and, you know, she can't see what I'm seeing, and she's probably just thinking I'm just, you know, woken up from this nightmare, and I'm explaining my nightmare, and she's just, as a mother, she's just trying to calm me down. So she said, "I'll go and get you a glass of water, just 1 second." So she walks back, and now as she's walked back and she walks back in with a glass of water, I think by that point everything had gone, and I think I just sat there, like, in disbelief as what had just happened. And then she was like, "You're fine." And then, but I know that this wasn't a dream, because when I woke up, I remember saying to her, like, did you remember me waking up last night? She was like, "Oh yeah, like, you were just saying you could see things. So I just wanted to give you, like, a glass of water." So I knew that it wasn't a dream. Like, I knew that was real. She didn't kind of go, "Oh no, like, I didn't come into your room, whatever." And I remember that just being really, really weird. And I think that it started, I don't know if that started it off. I don't think it did. But when I was really young, I remember I must have been about 6. And if I was either sad, ill, it happened as well, tired, or things like that, or worried, like anxious, I guess, now that that's how you can express it. But yeah, worried as a child, like something just didn't feel right. If I had eye contact with someone for a long period of time, they would almost start disappearing. Not disappearing as, like, completely going away, but they'd start getting smaller, as you would say, just zooming out. That's it. Like, they would zoom out, right? And at the young age of 6 or 5 or however young I was, that was very confusing for me. And to be able to express that again, to try and explain what I'm feeling, is very hard and also confusing, because if no one's gone through that or experienced that or knows what that is, then they can't explain either. So they're looking at it as, you know, an upset child that's just panicking, or that is just, you know, upset and doesn't know how to express their emotions yet. But I would say to them, like, you're going away, or, you know, you're not close to me. And they'd always hold my hand and be like, we're right here, like, you're fine, like, just deep breaths, calm down. And it still happens. I mean, it's getting a little bit less now, but sometimes every now and then I'll be talking to someone, if they're sitting close to me, and they will just start like zooming away, and I have to then take my eyes off them and kind of not make eye contact, and then I'll be back into the room. The same feeling is with, if I hold on to something, I can feel it expanding into my hands. Or I remember I was brushing my teeth once when I was younger as well, like 9, and I started brushing my teeth and I looked up and I was going a million miles an hour in the mirror. But in reality, I was just brushing my teeth at a normal speed. I don't really experience the whole speed thing. Sometimes I've felt it in probably like the past 2 to 5 years, that sort of span. I've found it when I'm talking. So if I'm talking, it feels like I'm talking a million miles an hour, but I'm not. But it's like my brain is almost disconnected from what is reality and what's actually happening. But in terms of doing something fast, that doesn't really happen. But the expanding, I had it I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. No, that's a lie. I had it 2 days ago. I had it well. And I was in my bed and I could feel the bed expanding in my, like, I could, if I hold onto it, it feels like it's expanding. My whole body feels like it's getting swollen. Like, it's just, I can't explain it apart from that. And I find what calms me down, or what helps me bring me back, is over the times deep breathing, exercises has always helped. Moving my hands. So if I feel like I'm holding something, I can feel like I let go.
Okay.
And I feel my body, and I feel what is real, and I try to get back in touch with reality and things like that. But I've also found that physical touch from another person helps. So I guess it maybe, grounds me, disconnects whatever that is, you know, sends like a eruption like through, if that's even the right word, like through it, or I don't know. But I feel like that somehow helps. But I still don't know to this day what to even call that. I mean, I've looked at YouTube videos and I did see that, you know, there was a mention of similar situations, and they called it Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. But I've looked into Alice in Wonderland Syndrome, and there isn't really, like, no one really knows what it is. And I remember once I was in an ambulance, for a completely different story, and I remember touching on the subject and saying to this nurse, you know, I sometimes feel these things, trying to express what they are. And I said, you know, it might be, I think it's Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. And she honestly looked at me, and the driver turned around and looked back as if to be like, what did you just say? And they kind of gave each other a look, and then she looked back and she was like, I'm telling you now, you don't have Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. And I was like, oh, right, okay. She was like, yeah, you'd be in a psych ward. And I remember thinking, like, oh, okay. And I didn't know obviously what she meant by that. I didn't know if she meant it's a type of, you know, very strong mental disorder that obviously you'd be, you know, you'd be unwell. That's, if you were to have that, you'd be unwell. And I thought, yeah, but in my head at that time, I thought, yeah, but the girl on YouTube, she seemed fine. Like, she was well, but, you know.
So often, I just, sorry to interrupt you here, but I just wanted to just, because I've, what you're saying to me here is classic Matrix. This is the system filling us with conditioning, where we believe and we trust these authorities, such as people who study to be ambulance drivers and to be medics and to who have these badges of honor, who have studied their profession, and they then will say, "If I'm telling you now, you don't have this," when there's so much evidence from years and years ago, like hundreds of years ago, of all of these people who have these gifts who haven't tapped into them, and we're conditioned to not go into that and not go down that rabbit hole of knowing what the Alice in Wonderland syndrome is. To then, this is my belief anyway. So then we then don't go into that through fear that we're going to be labelled as, we'll be put in a psych ward. But often, which I've studied a lot of this and watched a lot of people and heard a lot of stories about people who are often in psych wards, are people who are heavily gifted with intuition, who are so connected to the divine that people just can't comprehend and explain it. And they just explain it as they're mentally ill. And so that's why I just wanted to pause in that, because I didn't want you to go down the rabbit hole of like, you are mentally ill, but this girl's saying this on YouTube. And that's why it's so important for us to have these conversations, because you're searching for an answer here to like, be like, is this normal? And this one person says that it is. And maybe like this conversation here is enough for another person to be like, I get that too. And someone else said that to me as well. Like I've been called that you're not that. That's not what it is. But then what is it then?
Yeah. What's the explanation?
What's the explanation? The explanation, there isn't one that they can give, because they haven't experienced that in a way that other people have who have done it in a safe way.
Yeah. I think it's also like, I think it kind of touches on like opinions as well. There are more people who are studied in certain areas as well. Like you could go to one person and what they've experienced in their life and what their knowledge is of something, and they would say, oh, this is deemed, unconditional, or they would say, we can't explain this. But then you'd go to someone else and they'd be like, oh, there you go, I know exactly what that is. And you think, well, how?
Yeah.
I don't understand how I've not been told before. But it's all about different opinions, different life experiences.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, we had this conversation when I came back from Bali, didn't we? Because I was like, I remember being in Bali and just being like, I don't know who to trust. I remember having this conversation with my therapist at 1 a.m. at Bali time, because it was like a normal time here in the UK.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling so delirious that like I couldn't trust anyone, because I had this like conception in my mind that everyone was a mirror of me, and any information that was coming into my mind and my ear and through my ears, or that I was reading through my sight, was just like so confusing. And so I had so many people's opinions, and then I couldn't listen to my own self. And I remember having this conversation with you, and I came home and I was just like, this person said this thing and that person said that thing, and I don't know who's right and who's wrong. And in the end, I look back at that time now, and I think like, wow, if I just was able to just take all that conditioning away and take all that thought away and just listen to what I want and what I need and what is right for me. I knew that therapist wasn't right for me a long, long time before then, but I didn't change until months and months later. And now I have the most amazing therapist, and she is like so spiritual. We're having an incredible conversation today about this podcast and like what's going on. And it just feels so much more aligned now. Like I'm finally listening to myself and my choice, my wants, and my decisions are more aligned with like where I want to go in my life, and I feel like things are happening and things are opening up and more opportunities are happening, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, listening to one person, and I think there's something in that you said that were like, but what about that? So it's almost like you already knew what was the answer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But our monkey mind is trying to grip onto, oh, but you're an authority figure and you know.
Yeah, you must be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what the society is trying to teach us, because like how many followers they've got, for example, means that they've got more credibility or whatnot. But I think if it resonates with you and it feels true, you'll feel it in your body and you'll feel calm.
Yeah.
And it will just land. It's exciting though that you have these feelings in your body.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this lovely chat that we've had.
Of course.
I want to just say thank you so much for sharing all your experiences, all the stories, because I think not only have I learned so much about you and about more about just the unknown and the excitement of it. I think a lot of people will resonate with your story and with lots of your stories that you shared. So thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable, explaining all of those things. I just wanted to end just before we go. Can you let us know where people can find out more about you and the amazing work that you're doing in the world?
So you can find me on YouTube. My handle is Life with Lou. If you wanted to watch any of my vlogs, or if you want to, maybe if there's something relatable that is going on in your life and you would like to hear some tips, yeah, that's where you can find me. That's where I'll be hanging out, making videos.
Amazing. Thank you so much.